Super Mario 64 is known to be one of the best games of all time, but it has another thing that it's famous for. Super Mario 64 has the biggest ROM hacking community of any game. If you look, there are dozens of sites dedicated to Mario 64 ROMs, and there are hundreds and hundreds of ROMs available for you to download right now. The ROM hacking community has been around since 2005, and in over a dozen years, this community has seen a lot. From various groundbreaking tools being released, to new hackers coming and changing the scene completely. Today, we're going to be looking at the hacking progression of Super Mario 64. Before we get started, I feel like not everyone really knows what a ROM hack is, so I'll explain it. A Nintendo 64 cart contains a ROM. Using special tools, you can get this ROM onto your computer. So if you have this ROM on your computer, you pretty much can't do anything with it. If you change the ROM instead of .n64 to .txt, you can open it in Microsoft Note, and you can look through it, and all it is a bunch of code. So ROMs on a computer are pretty much useless. That's where emulators come in. Emulators are programs that kind of pretend to be consoles. They emulate the chips and the way they run, so that way you're able to take this ROM, which is really just a bunch of hexadecimal code, and run it on your computer. All a ROM hack is going into a game's code and changing things to make the game different. So most ROM hackers nowadays use tools. ROM hacks could be as rudimentary as changing a text in one segment of a game. Some ROM hacks are absolutely massive, expanding the ROM to 64 megabytes instead of 12, making new stages, new stars, and new pretty much everything, to the point where they look like a completely different game. One of the first hacks ever made was a hack made by VLTone. VLTone was pretty much the pioneer for Mario 64 hacking. His first hack came out on August 27th, 2005, and was called Luigi is Really Real 2005, the movie. Back in this day, the discussion about Luigi being in Mario 64 was a popular topic, especially due to how the internet was back in 2005. It was hard to tell fact from fiction. A majority of people that saw this just thought it was Game Shark codes, because people didn't really even know what a ROM hack was back then. This was just the beginning of Mario 64 hacking. VLTone would go on and create one of the most powerful tools any modding community has ever seen. A couple months later, on January 29, 2006, VLTone released a video called Super Mario 64 Mod 2006. His description is a modification of Super Mario 64 that I did with my own level editor. It will be released somewhere in the future as public beta. It was just really cool to see that way back in 2006 he created an editor to rearrange the placement of objects in Mario 64. And although this video may not seem like much, this video was hinting at a huge thing to be released in the future. 5 months later, he released a preview of the editor, showing the capabilities and the things it could do. And almost a year later, he finally released Toadstools. Toadstools came out on April 9th, 2007, and was a big thing for the Mario hacking community. Some people still use Toadstools today. Toadstools' main features were that you could add custom textures into the game, you could add any objects like coins or enemies anywhere in the game, anywhere you wanted. Having only Toadstools was like having a can without a can opener. When Toadstools came out, pretty much the only thing you could do were texture hacks, or hacks where you take the original Mario 64 game and add different enemy and coin layouts. So for about a year, the only hacks that were out were texture hacks. But people knew to get the full potential of Toadstools, they needed a way to import their own custom geometry into levels. On January 27, 2008, Failtone released Flat World Battlefield, entirely new Mario 64 level. Although this level was just a flat plane, this was revolutionary for the hacking community. Frauber was very intrigued by this idea, and he was the first person to really import his own custom geometry into the game, and this, with Toadstool 64, made for some very neat discoveries. On August 3rd, 2008, Frauber released Platform Battlefield. Although this doesn't look like much from today's standards, this hack was incredibly groundbreaking at the time, being able to have your own custom geometry in Super Mario 64. Frauber was inspired by a hacker named Skelux'x. He took his hack, Platform Battlefield, and made a hack out of it called the Secret Woods. Frauber was really impressed with the level design and the way that Skelux'x used Toad's tools. And this inspired him to make Super Mario 64 and the Missing Stars. Skelux'x's level was actually included in Super Mario and the Missing Stars. After months and months of hard work, on April 19th, 2009, Frauber released Super Mario 64, The Missing Stars. This was the very first ROM hack that was a completely different game, with new levels and everything. This ROM hack featured 30 stars, and was super impressive for the time. Also, Frauber realized how to get custom music into the game too. It is super impressive because an object importer wasn't even out yet. So every single level he almost hard-coded into the game using MIPS assembly language. On October 11th, 2009, Frauber released the Wayfont OBJ importer. The OBJ importer and Toadstools were a great combo, like peanut butter and jelly. And the full potential of Toadstools could finally be unleashed. Anybody with good ROM hacking understandings could make a complete Mario 64 hack. This was a big day for the hacking community. After the OBJ importer was released, there were a bunch of great hacks to come out, but the one I want to focus on is Super Mario Star Road by Skelux'x. He released his first video on January 1st, 2010, called Aiden Chronicles Field. This was a very well-made OBJ model that he imported into Mario 64, and people knew that Skelux'x had a pretty good understanding of Super Mario 64 hacking, making a pretty cool custom stage. But this was just the start. On March 3rd, 2010, Skelux'x released a video called Super Mario 64 Star Road Major Hack Preview. This video was history in the making. It was a long time since Super Mario and the Missing Stars came out, but this hack preview was super impressive with very good geometry due to Frauber's OBJ importer. On December 24th, 2011, Star Road was finally released. Super Mario Star Road is just an amazing ROM hack in general, featuring over 30 new areas and nearly 50 new tunes, and over 120 stars. This hack was truly amazing, and it really made people understand that you could get full-fledged games through Mario 64 ROM hacks. After Star Road came out, Skelux'x pretty much became the king of Mario ROM hacking. Skelux'x's next big project was Super Mario 64 Multiplayer. This came out on October 24th, 2012. Throughout the years there have been many updates to this, and a lot of other ROM hacks contain a multiplayer feature now too, like Super Mario 64 Star Road Multiplayer. The Super Mario 64 multiplayer ROM hack was super impressive, being able to play with a second player, and just really brought a lot of people into the ROM hacking community too. just to try out this new feature of playing the game with a friend. After the multiplayer hack was released, Skelux'x started working with Frauber to release a new version of the OBJ importer. On March 27, 2013, Skelux'x and Frauber released Super Mario 64 Level Importer 1.7s. This level importer was a big improvement from the last version, making it a lot easier to import more complicated levels. After this, Skelux'x started working with VLTone to do a much needed update to Toadstools. On March 24, 2014, Skelux'x and VLTone released Toadstool 64 version 0.6.3s. This was a great update to Toadstools. Now that there was an updated version of the OBJ importer and there was an updated version of Toadstools, it made making hacks a lot easier. As the years went on, Skelux'x kept making videos and he kept improving Toadstools and the OBJ importer. But arguably, somebody took over as being the king of ROM hacking, and that is Kaze. In the years of 2014 and 2015, Kaze released a bunch of hacks. Kaze was just kind of known as an average ROM hacker until he released a big hack, Super Mario 64 Chaos Edition. Super Mario 64 Chaos Edition had random GameShark codes constantly going into the game every 20 to 30 seconds, so it was just constant chaos within the game. This hack completely blew up on YouTube, and tons of people were doing Let's Plays on it because it was just such a fun game to play. After Chaos Edition came out, people knew Kaze was the real deal. On November 9th, 2014, Kaze started teasing his game, Super Mario 64 Last Impact. At the time, this game didn't even have a title. On September 30th, 2016, Kaze released Super Mario 64 Last Impact, and this ROM hack contains a bunch of new enemies, a bunch of new power-ups. Every single level has such a good design and theme. This game is honestly so impressive. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know I missed a couple things, like I didn't even mention Super Mario 74 or some of the tools that came out. I just wanted to cover the things that I thought were the biggest, so I'm sorry if I didn't include anybody and you're watching this video. If you could leave a like and a subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching.